She sat alone in the cafe, her wheelchair beside the rain-streaked window, pretending not to notice the people staring. To them, she was just another rich girl with a sad story. To Emma Blake, this was her final test, to find love that didn't have a price tag attached. But as she watched the man with grease-stained hands and tired blue eyes fix the cafe's flickering light, she had no idea that this stranger, this mechanic, was about to change her life forever, and that his secrets would break her heart before they healed it. The snow fell softly over downtown Toronto, dusting the streets in silver. Emma Blake pulled her scarf tighter as she wheeled herself through the crowd, pretending not to notice the whispers and glances. She had grown up in limousines, not subways, but this life, this disguise, was her choice. She needed to know what love looked like when her last name didn't come first. Her father, Richard Blake, owned Blake Industries, one of Canada's largest real estate empires. Men had chased her for money, for power, for the Blake name. No one had ever really seen her, so she decided to test the world. For 6 months, she would live as Emily Brown, an ordinary girl in a wheelchair, working part-time at a library and living in a small rented flat. The first month was brutal. Strangers looked at her with pity or turned away awkwardly. One man she liked ghosted her after their second date when he found out about her disability. But Emma was strong, or at least she tried to be. Until one snowy afternoon when her old car refused to start outside the cafe, and a stranger appeared beside her, wiping his hands on an oily rag and smiling. "Need a hand?" he asked. His name was Daniel Carter, a local mechanic with kind eyes, a rugged smile, and a voice that carried warmth even through the cold. Emma hesitated, then nodded. "If you can fix stubborn hearts too, then sure," she said with a half-smile. Daniel laughed, not the polite kind, but genuine, like he actually found her funny. For the first time in months, she felt seen. Over the next few weeks, Emma and Daniel kept crossing paths, sometimes at the cafe, sometimes near the mechanic shop where he worked. He'd wave at her from across the street, always smiling, always in motion, like someone who'd seen too much of life to waste a second of it. Daniel didn't treat her like glass. He didn't offer pity when she fumbled with her coffee lid or struggled with doors. He just waited, helped if she asked, and never made her feel small. That alone made him different. One evening, as the city lights reflected off wet pavement, Daniel offered to walk her home. "You shouldn't be out this late alone," he said. She smiled softly. "You sound like my father." Daniel chuckled. "Guess he's a smart man then." Emma's chest tightened. Her father wouldn't even recognize her now. She wasn't in designer coats or diamond earrings, just a thrifted jacket and borrowed dignity. But with Daniel, she felt lighter. Still, she noticed something in his eyes when she mentioned family, a shadow, like a memory he didn't want to revisit. She didn't ask that night. She didn't have to. They were both hiding parts of themselves, and somehow that made them understand each other more than words ever could. Winter deepened, and so did their bond. Daniel began showing up at the library where she worked, pretending to need car manuals, but really just wanting to talk. He told her about his dream of opening his own repair garage, a place where people done to get scammed for things they done at need. Emma listened, her heart swelling. No one had ever spoken to her with such honesty. No one had ever needed her in such a simple, real way, but she was lying. Every laugh, every late-night conversation, all built on a lie. She wasn't disabled. She wasn't Emily Brown. She was Emma Blake, the girl who could buy 10 garages like his with one phone call. Still, when he offered her his jacket one freezing evening, she didn't stop him. "You'll freeze," she said. "I've been through worse," he smiled. And as he gently placed the jacket over her shoulders, her heart betrayed her. She was falling for him. Emma began dreading her reflection. Every time she looked in the mirror, she saw the lie staring back. But how could she tell him now? How could she risk losing the only person who saw her as human, not a headline? At the same time, Daniel seemed distant lately. His phone would buzz, and he'd step outside. When she asked, he brushed it off. Just work stuff. But the tightness in his voice said otherwise. One afternoon, she rolled by his shop hoping to surprise him with coffee. Through the garage window, she saw him talking to a woman, mid-30s, tired eyes, holding a little boy. Daniel knelt to hug the child. Emma froze. Was that his family? Her heart shattered quietly. She turned away before he could see her. Maybe love wasn't meant for her after all, real or not. She avoided him for days. No texts, no calls. She buried herself in library work and long, silent nights. But Daniel wasn't the kind to give up easily. One evening, he appeared at her door, holding takeout and that same crooked smile. "If this is about what you saw," he said softly, "I can explain." She didn't answer. "That's my sister," he continued, "and her kid. She's been staying with me since her divorce. I help out when I can." Emma's guilt came crashing down. "I'm sorry," she whispered, tears burning her eyes. "I shouldn't have assumed." Daniel reached out, brushing her cheek. "You've got a big heart, Emily. Just don't lock it away because the world's been cruel." And in that moment, she realized, maybe truth wasn't something to hide behind. Maybe it was something you grew brave enough to tell. Spring came early. The ice melted, the air grew soft, and with it, something between them bloomed, unspoken but undeniable. Daniel began teaching her how to fix small things, how to change a tire, how to check oil, even how to use a wrench properly. "Not bad," he teased one afternoon as she struggled to tighten a bolt. "You've got potential." "I'll add that to my resume," she laughed. "Professional wheelchair mechanic." He smiled, but there was curiosity in his gaze. "You never told me what happened," he said carefully. "Your legs, I mean." Her breath caught. "Car accident," she lied, her chest twisting painfully. Daniel's expression softened. "That must have been hard." Emma looked away. "Yeah, it still is." The lie deepened, and with every kindness he showed, it weighed heavier. That weekend, Daniel invited her to the town fair. Music, laughter, lights. It felt like a dream. For the first time in forever, she forgot to pretend she was someone else. They rode the Ferris wheel, shared cotton candy, and laughed until their sides hurt. At the top, the city stretched beneath them, golden and endless. Daniel turned to her, eyes serious. "Emily, I don't care what life's taken from you. You make people smile. You make me smile. That's what matters." She swallowed hard. "Daniel, there's something—" But before she could continue, fireworks exploded above, painting the sky red and blue. He kissed her then, soft, warm, and real. And for one fleeting moment, the world stopped lying. The next morning, reality returned with cruel precision. Emma received an urgent message from her father's assistant. "Your father is in London. He knows where you are. He's furious." Her secret life was collapsing. She'd been careful. Fake name, different address. But her father's people were relentless. That evening, as she sat in Daniel's shop trying to act normal, her phone buzzed again. "Come home," the message read. "This game ends now." Daniel noticed her trembling hands. "Everything okay?" "Yeah," she lied again. But her eyes betrayed her. She couldn't tell him the truth, not yet, because once she did, she'd lose him. Days later, while Daniel was out, Emma went to the cafe to think. Her reflection in the window looked foreign, not rich, not disabled, just lost. She opened her journal, trying to write down what she felt, but her tears smudged the ink. How could she love someone this much and still be lying to him? That S when she heard the news on the cafe TV. Blake Industries announces charity fund for disabled communities, led by CEO A.S. daughter, Emma Blake. Daniel walked in seconds later, holding coffee. His eyes fell on the screen, then on her. The cup slipped from his hand. "Emma Blake?" he whispered. "That's you?" She froze. The lie had finally caught up. "Daniel, please," she began, but he stepped back, shaking his head. "So all this time, the wheelchair, the stories, the name, it was all fake?" His voice cracked. "I needed to know who would love me for me," she cried. "You don't understand?" "No, Emma, you don't understand." He turned away, his hands trembling. "You didn't need to test people. You just needed to be honest." She tried to reach for him, but he was gone before she could speak. Outside, rain poured, and for the first time, she didn't bother pretending anymore. She stood up from the wheelchair, her legs shaking, and let the storm wash her truth clean. Days turned into weeks. Daniel stopped answering her messages. The town felt emptier without his laughter. Emma returned to her family mansion, but it felt like a prison now. Her father lectured her about reputation and appearances, but she barely heard him. All she wanted was to see Daniel again. To tell him she wasn't playing with his heart. She was just trying to protect her own. Late one night, she drove to his shop. It was closed, dark, but a note was taped to the door. "Gone for a while. Don't wait." She sank to her knees, sobbing in the cold. For once, money couldn't fix anything. Months passed. Emma tried to rebuild her life. She poured herself into charity work, helping real people with disabilities, funding prosthetics, accessibility programs. The public praised her, but her heart stayed empty. Every time she saw a grease-stained mechanic or heard laughter in a cafe, she thought of him. Then one afternoon, while speaking at a small-town fundraiser, she froze mid-speech. There, at the back of the room, stood Daniel, arms crossed, quiet, unreadable. Her voice faltered. The audience clapped as she ended early, and then, with trembling steps, she walked toward him. No wheelchair, no lies, just her. They stood face to face. For a long moment, neither spoke. "You're walking," he said softly. "I've been walking for months," she replied. "But it doesn't mean I'm not broken inside." Daniel sighed. "You hurt me, Emma, but I never stopped caring." "I know," she whispered, "and I never stopped loving you." The silence between them felt heavy. But this time it wasn't full of lies. It was full of everything unsaid. They walked together outside, down the quiet street. She told him everything. The loneliness, the pressure, the reason she hid behind the chair. Daniel listened. When she finished, he said only, "You didn't have to be someone else to be loved. You just had to believe you were enough." Tears slipped down her cheeks. "I'm trying to believe that now." He smiled faintly. "Then maybe we can start over. Honestly this time." She nodded. "I'd like that." A year later, Emma stood beside Daniel at his new garage, Carter and Blake Auto Repair. The sign gleamed proudly under the summer sun. They'd built it together, his dream, her faith, their love. Sometimes customers whispered about their story. The girl who pretended to be broken, and the man who fixed more than cars. But they didn't care. Love had found them the hard way, the only way that lasts. And as Daniel wrapped his arm around her, Emma whispered, "Guess we both passed the test." He smiled. "No, Emma. We stopped testing the world and started trusting it."